Go ahead, roll the
Go ahead.
camera.
Hey everyone, Melvin here, I guess. I'm with Nico and Wahid as always for Howling. This episode 9. I hope you're gonna enjoy my webcam, but obviously feel free to tap out. Topics for today are gonna be the first 2 months of Trump's administration. Then we're gonna talk a bit of Russian Trump, just real quick because we did another video about that, so I just want to kind of update on that. Some net neutrality, which is more interesting than it sounds if you don't know what it is, like really, so skip to that. And at the end, everything around, or in some way, the refugee crisis, immigration in general, Europe, USA, different countries, and some general thoughts. We'll see how far we
We'll
get by then.
we'll see how far we get with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wait, Nicholas, you want
Hi.
to say hello?
Hello.
Hello. So
It's been a while.
yeah, it's been quite a while. So
Yeah.
we're hoping for a good podcast.
To start off on the Russia
Russia
Trump
administration.
administration.
Trump administration.
I think there's two
Uh,
distinct points I'd like to actually summarize. First of all, it's kind of our opinion of Trump the person, and our opinion of like Trump the administration, what's gonna happen, what happened, what's gonna happen in the next 4 years, kind of right. Like now that we've got an idea, and I would suggest we start with the first. Is that fine with you guys?
Trump as a
sure.
person.
Sure.
If you've got an opinion, because at least I do at this point,
Um,
and I want to give it out. So yeah.
well, something anecdotal, which I found very interesting. Apparently, there was a Sesame Street special a couple years back, and by a couple of years, I mean probably early 2000s. I don't exactly remember it. In which a character called Donald Grump wanted to basically raise the entirety of Sesame Street to build his Grump Tower Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that summarizes pretty well what I think about the guy.
Do you think he's smart?
What a start though.
Sesame Street.
Well, smart. He definitely has some kind of smarts. Otherwise, he wouldn't be where he is, and he can definitely talk to a broad mass of people in a way that activates them.
Like yeah, there's
Other than that, I'm
Mm.
still not sure.
I really think he is like literally the stereotype of a spoiled child in like every way possible. And yeah, like I don't actually think he's smart. I really don't. I think he's kind of stupid down. Like I mean he's got some intelligence some way, definitely in a business like way. He's definitely I think he's smart in like playing people. Although I think he's not like aware of it. You know what I mean? No, like no. You know people who are good around like he's just a person who's kind of good around people in a way, right? Like how some people are like very social. It's
Yeah,
not something you're
that's
like
true.
aware of or you're like smart about, right?
You
It's
mean
just
like
something
he's
you're
not
either social, like you're either just confident
but-
and good. I think he's kind of the same for kind of
You
like
mean like-
getting attention and yeah, and
But-
talking and that kind of stuff. But he's not actually smart. Like it's not like he's actually trying to play the media like it's like his plan, or it's not like you know it's like he like sits in the morning and is like okay, in which order what do I say now? How stupid do I make? What sound? What is actually smart? And like how much is confused? You know, I don't think there is any of that actually, or like very very little, right? There is some definitely like scandal creating to create scandals to distract from other shit, which are actual scandals. But I really think so. Like that's kind of my opinion for now. And I definitely think he's an asshole, don't get me wrong on that. But yeah.
But I really don't think like.
But I definitely think that actually like
Yeah.
most of what he says is literally what he thinks. Because if you really listen, and I did, and read what he says and listen to some of his things in general, like it's just so how do I say like it all makes sense in the circle of like one guy thinking this weird way, right?
in his personal circle.
Yeah,
so to
like
speak.
very egocentric, like very also needs attention, or at least no, I don't think he needs attention. I think he wants to keep proving himself in a way, right? Like, and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely think like yeah, stereotype of like a majestic asshole, douchebag, spoiled kid, all in one. You know, I really think that's just like actually the case with him. But yeah,
Yeah, like the small loan of $1 million. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Well,
do you
he's-
really think like?
And
you
also
can-
like he's got no scruple ever, which is probably one of the most useful attributes to have as a person, which is probably why even without being particularly smart, got the money combined with a small employee.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, how, like, do you really think you could, like, get to that?
I think like a
position
mixture of kind of like confidence, right? Because
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And actually having some money at the beginning definitely helps, right? And having some
That's-
education and so on, right? Like it's not like he's completely brainless or like not educated and so on. But I don't think he's super smart. But yeah, like a mixture of street cred and that kind of stuff, and then like no scruple, really no scruple. I mean, like if you look at this, a lot of the stuff he pulled off and did, like, and the amount of lawsuits and like literally, I don't. If you actually do any digging into like any of his projects, you're like, really, right? Like, I know there was a story of Trump is now building the roads in what was it, Azerbaijan or something, instead of
What?
some other American firm, for 6 times the price the other American firm proposed.
How did he get it?
Exactly the question. Literally, like literally, the American firm said in like huge American construction firm, I forgot the name, yeah, but said in the report like we didn't get the contract in Azerbaijan because 3 million per kilometer was too expensive or something, right, for them.
Yeah.
And then Trump got it for like 18. Right? Where you're like this just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But anyway, what about then? Let's switch, I guess, right? Before we dwell forever on something we concluded on.
Yeah.
Trump administration, like how fucked up America gonna be in 3 years and 10 months?
It's
So
been just 2 months. Can't believe it. Feels like a year already.
EPA funding cut. White House greenhouse page. White House climate change
Yeah,
page removed.
climate change page,
First day, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
His education budget.
Oh,
FCC.
yesterday, students from American universities in like biology and so on already have literally sources from their climate change research from the state, like from the government, which do not exist anymore. Of papers they wrote recently.
No, that's just that's just fucked.
That is just fucked, right? Like it's literally like it is it's hardcore. It's destruction of
Yeah.
information, like.
Like they
Yeah,
spend their entire lives like going through trying to, you know,
Not everything, yeah, but
Yes.
like parts of
you
information.
get a
still
research
not-
grantor, but and one stupid president later.
Yeah, I mean that's true, right? Like literally for all those, I mean like we don't talk about that. I mean you can say it's people losing job. Who cares if it's scientists or other people, right? At some point, but
Yeah.
as a scientist, getting a job is like a really tricky thing, and it's one of those fields I think where there's like just a very stable like, because becoming a scientist is so fucking hard, right?
Getting a research grant is not easy either.
Exactly, but
That is
you kind of accept that once you get one, you kind of keep it because you're actually smart and doing your job, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, like as a scientist, it's not like you're like, at least I know how to do business, right? And like as a climate change engineer, where do you go?
Once you get into academia, it's really difficult to like
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
change. Yeah, go back into industry.
Okay. Well, what do you think, guys? How much damage is Trump gonna do? What? Are we gonna get 8 years Trump? Are we gonna get 4 years Trump?
4 years.
I mean, he
definitely,
already is running. You know that, right?
I'm not surprised.
Ru-
I didn't know, but
Literally, yeah, no, in what was it? Well, like very soon, yeah. Trump already announced his candidacy for 2020, which allows him also to already start collecting money for the campaign.
well,
Which
okay,
isn't
that's
that cool when
convenient.
you might have conflicts of interest, but the donations just go to your campaign?
Yeah.
Whatever.
You will be running.
I mean, nobody cares about Trump's conflicts of interest, anyways. Apparently.
I wouldn't be so sure of that, to be honest. Actually, I really wouldn't, because that is one of the like things which might actually bring you to fall because of the Constitution. Like literally, like legally, you know, is one of the
Yeah.
cases where you might actually have like a lever against him at some point. But yeah,
Well-
people don't. I agree.
A kind of rhetoric I've seen used a lot in relation to Trump is that that a lot of people bring up basically textbook definitions of fascism in relation to Trump, and
I do
how
agree.
there's basically this list of points of strategies that happen in a fascist regime, which involves disenfranchisement. Is that a word? Which
Disenfranchisement.
Disenfranchising, yes, I think that's how it's pronounced. Sorry, disenfranchising of the media, of the sciences, of the arts.
But isn't that something any authoritarian leader would do?
Why would you say that though?
Or getting the media to your control is always something you do as an authoritarian, like for sure. Look everywhere, Turkey, China,
Well,
like
yeah.
like everywhere, right? Like that's just a thing.
I mean, that's not to say like.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
they use
well,
the word fascist.
I think Steve
The
Bannon is a
exact
fascist. I don't think Trump is.
his regime is kind of icky in that
maybe
way.
he's too stupid to be a fascist.
No, like, let's be honest. For example, like the 3 stars general, which have been serving in the U.S. Army for like 50 years, which are now in Trump's board. I don't think they're fascists, right?
Of course not.
As well as some other people. Like some people, like let's stop being stupid. Like they're retarded conservatives, racists, sexists, and so on. Probably right, just because they're like over 60 and white and male and Christian, but and rich. But like I don't think that. But like Steve Bannon for sure, and I definitely get your fears in that regard. I I seriously think that with like Trump, right? Like between Trump and Clinton, the probability of the world getting destroyed while they're president for Trump is like 50 times higher. Right?
Yes.
Like, no, like or way more, because I don't see Clinton like ever starting a nuclear war. With Trump, I am actually worried of it happening. Like I do see it as like it wouldn't be possible, you know. Like if news come up and it's like if Trump tweets like just launched nukes at NK, right? Everyone would be like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Not like who the fuck hacked his account, right? Like if Obama writes that, tweets that, it's like who the fuck hacked his account, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, with Trump, it's more like. On the other hand, I'm
So
quite
where does the
happy that.
radiation go?
On the other hand, I'm quite happy that that the immigration ban got foiled twice. In
Oh
court.
my god, that was the
Well, to be honest,
justice boner.
the second ban isn't really foiled yet.
No,
Like
but
because
there was a.
the Hawaiian, it's not very probable that that's gonna stay banned. Like that the ban is gonna stay banned, because it's only the Hawaiian like local court, which and the actual Justice Department said that the ban corresponds with our guidelines, so should be okay. In front of the Supreme Court. Sorry to make you happy, this day.
I
Oh
really
no,
think
it's perfectly possible. I just
Mm.
kind of saw it float by.
Oh yeah, I was happy too. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
I'm still glad that like
What
there
I was
are
really
laws. Yeah.
What I really want to thank Trump for is the Dutch elections, which happened like a bit ago, where the right extreme, which was predicted to basically win, like failed pretty hard. And I think it's really thanks to Trump just like being such a mess in his first 2 months, right? But okay, let's try to really focus on the topic at hand, right? Like how much of a mess is kind of going to be the U.S. in 4 months, or the world in the 4 years?
Big mess.
I mean, that's just speculation at this point, but
I think so, but
Um,
or
Yeah, it
what's
is.
gonna really change? I don't know. I mean, like, I can give you my opinion. My opinion is we won't get another 4 years of Trump. He is
I'm
gonna
pretty
actually
sure
manage to do some really lasting damage, though, especially like environmentally, and also like, for example, all the restrictions and so on he's cutting. There is no way to like. It takes way longer to implement a law and like work one out, implement one, get it where so on, then just like remove it, right? So that's gonna create some massive damage, also I think in the long term, like economically and so on, like for people, right?
No.
And for everything around. I do think though that kind of like the left is gonna wake up in some way or another. I hope what might be an issue is if we get like another Clinton after Trump, because
Yeah.
then it's like everything's a mess and it's all open to keep staying a mess forever. Instead of like if we get some like a solid left president and then like it goes back to normal conservative left and it kind of makes sense. That's okay. And I think that Trump is going to be marked the like time in history where China became equal to the US as a superpower worldwide, kind of.
You know,
That might
Because
happen.
even though militarily, like they're still ways behind, they're taking over the like transatlantic partnership, economic deals, and so on and so on. They're so active in Africa, diplomacy-wise. Europe is completely turning towards China, though, and like officially declared so, right? Like Trump, like, I mean, the US is Europe's biggest trading partner, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one of the biggest, like, by far. And they say we're gonna start, like, putting taxes on you, trade taxes on Europe. Well, obviously Europe and China, like, and same to China, Europe and China, like, hey, let's trade more, right? And same for everyone else, really. So yeah, I really think that's gonna be a huge thing. First of all, diplomatically and economically, like, China and the US are gonna be seen even kind of from now on. And then over time also like militarily and everything.
yeah. Well, you want to talk about Russia and Trump?
Yeah, sure. Why not, right? While we're trumping it.
I ship Trump x Putin.
Why?
Ah,
Why do you do
shit.
that?
OTP.
How many fan fictions have you read?
I don't know, like 5 or 6.
How many do you think exist at this point?
Um,
Close to 700,000.
well, it's like an autofill result in Google. So
Oh, well.
Trump and Putin
our
level.
own has 29 Donald Trump fan fictions. Donald Trump x Vladimir Putin fan fictions.
I don't know.
So there's a couple.
Okay. Let's summarize what we said back in our last video, right? We said that we don't really believe there's a relation
Between
between,
what?
like, Trump and Russia. We said that the
Oh,
evidence
yeah.
presented by Obama isn't really evidence, right?
Yeah.
And while we believe that maybe there is something to it, because like all of Obama's acting is kind of weird in a way, like it doesn't really make sense he would do it if there is nothing to it, we were pretty damn unconvinced, right?
Yes, we were.
Mhm. That's
My
correct.
point of view now is that either it's true actually, because
Yeah,
there is a bunch of stuff coming up,
exactly.
but I'm also not really convinced either.
Why are you not convinced? What would you take as concrete evidence?
Like an email, for example, or something. I
Okay.
mean, like, what do we have? We have like a ex-security advisor talking to Russian and a Russian diplomat and so on. But like, uh, heck, that could even be changed by like Russia in some way. Like, let's talk about not much. Like literally, like the ambassador just like hits up whoever that was, right? And there's like
Yeah.
let's sit down and talk about X. He's not gonna say no, right? Like if he comes up with some decent reason, right? Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
and then actually like just to have that kind of, and then like to I don't know, to create more maybe it's literally just like Russia playing around, like actually they hacked it and actually they created all the connections to Trump's administration to create even more of a mess. I don't know, man. Like
Huge conspiracy theory.
well, okay,
Yeah,
my,
that's
co- my,
getting
my
better.
conspiracy theory doesn't lie there, though, right? Like the thing that I still see as an option is that it basically being kind of a ploy of the American, Secret Services kind people in there, yeah, like the head of them,
Yeah.
trying to bring down Trump, literally. Not out
Yeah.
of personal, not out of political goals, even probably even like literally because they're scared the shit out of for the country or whatever. Maybe their own jobs too at some point or something, but um, I don't think that's impossible, and I'll keep both options open to myself for now.
I mean,
Because there is still
FBI.
like no evidence. Not one person from the CIA has yet come out and said, I have, right? Not like neither is evidence, not is there yet a single, as far as I know, um, like a person even claiming to, you know, stand up for what's being said or so on. There's
Yeah.
still only anonymous claims and like some, I guess, and so on, so on, so on. And then you have meetings between the Russian team and like Trump's team and the Russian ambassador, but
Mm.
so yeah, just basically kind of eh, on that.
Well, I mean, anything we say is just like an opinion at this point because there is no evidence.
Yeah,
So,
sure, but I mean like
yeah.
giving why our opinion changes is what we're doing this for, right?
Yeah.
Net neutrality?
Okay, yeah. So one of the reasons, one of the things apparently Trump has been targeting recently is net neutrality.
What is that?
And okay, so for the uninitiated, like what net neutrality is, like there are a couple of great websites that do explain it, but for podcast listeners, like what net neutrality basically is the freedom of the internet. So what big telecom companies and ISPs have been trying to do, or for their benefit, of course, especially in the US
Also
recently.
Germany. Europe.
Really?
Oh yeah, very
Oh,
strong in Europe.
I
Oh yeah,
I didn't
massive thing.
know that. I actually didn't know that. I like
Like it's more
I
like
know.
2-3 years ago, like not last 3 months.
Yeah, but like for the US, it's been like a very hot topic for the past 2 3 years. Yeah, and basically net neutrality is, as I said, the openness of the internet. And so big telecom companies, they want to just like how cable TV is divided into lanes, and like how you can um, buy packages of which channels you want to watch and which content you basically consume. The ISPs basically want to make the internet the same way.
So basically, what they want to do is that instead of providing you an access to the internet, they provide you, like they sell you an access to certain
Yeah.
addresses, URLs, bandwidths, whatever only.
So for
And
example,
then you have different packages. Sorry, yeah, go on.
yeah, you take the basic pack, or for example, like first you take the basic pack, and then you can add on perhaps a social media pack for 9.99 a month extra or something like that. So
Uh,
basically, so why is this bad? So first of all, this is very very bad for startups, especially if, like so. Let's say the entirety of Silicon Valley is based on. At this point, I wouldn't don't think we can
Refute
not
it.
say that. Yeah, we can refute it that Silicon Valley is based the amount of startups like Silicon Valley generates on a daily yearly basis is very very um, is very dependent on the fact that the internet is free. So uh, for smaller companies, what this means is what net neutrality being compromised could mean is that there are the startup culture fades off. There's no because ISPs don't basically don't allow lanes or basically block them. So
essentially,
yeah,
like the flip side to what you explained, that as a user you buy certain lane packages, is that if you want your website to be out there somewhere and to
yeah,
be accessible, you have to be part of one of those packages, and so you have to pay the ISP, which
yeah,
obviously favors large companies and
Yeah.
favors.
And also allows discrimination on very like
yeah.
unrelated
There,
things. But for example, even for education, right? Like if your parents can only afford like the cheapest internet, which maybe is Wikipedia, but not
yeah,
like
Wolfram
seriously, like
Alpha or something.
like
Yeah,
some encyclopedia, right?
yeah,
Like
Wolfram Alpha. Yeah, something
yeah,
like
that
that.
kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Wolfram Alpha, whatever. Like very very quickly, right? Discrimination by income level and so on, so on, so on. Um, it also net neutrality also has to do with the two-speed internet, no?
um,
And like the ability
yes,
for I think
yeah,
like another thing that has to do is related to the entire stuff normally is that ISPs want to be able to limit your speed after a certain while, right? Like they can on phones, isn't that it? Exactly.
um, that I don't know about
I
that
think
actually.
that's
I
what it
think
turns around in the end.
like the lanes I talked about earlier. Like I think usually um, the two-speed internet is related to the lanes, so that like a certain group of websites are bandwidth capped at a certain. I
Right.
don't know, like 100
I mean,
megabytes per second, but others are capped at like 1 megabyte per
Oh,
second,
yeah, true. It's
things like
also
that.
a case of
probably a bit like with mobile phones. Like if you phone
basically kind of
outside of your own
TLDR it.
network,
Basically,
you pay.
we're overnight handing ISPs a massive monopoly
Exactly.
or near
And
monopoly, right? Like what's the word?
monopoly of content.
Yeah.
Uh, that is the internet. Like
And I
the
mean,
very
the internet is like our life, so it's not like
exactly
it's
at
a
this point.
monopoly
At
on
this
like,
point, yeah.
right? It's not like it's a monopoly on like coffee mugs, and I'm like, okay, I'll drink my coffee out of glasses, right?
Exactly. Like,
There is no replacement.
and at this point, we can say that internet is basically media for like the the form of
My screen
media.
just died. Are you
Like
kidding me? By the way, the Indian
yeah,
state of Kerala, or whatever
yeah.
it's called,
Yeah.
announced internet a human right
Oh yeah. Of
as
human
the
right.
first region on Earth,
I mean,
That's
which
nice.
I
is
mean,
really
what
good. Yeah.
implementation they come up with of
They
that
want to implement free
right?
Wi-Fi for everyone.
I don't know.
Free
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
exactly.
It's not
Hey,
impossible.
Wi-Fi.
Meanwhile, Nestle wants us to not have water.
Oh well, that's been an ongoing issue for quite some time.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying meanwhile. Um, I'm sorry if I'm looking stupid right now, but did you see my screen just died? So while I can still talk to you guys and so on, I can't see shit.
I hope the
Like I have
podcast
a
is still recording.
yeah, I hope so too, but it should be.
Yeah.
Um,
Alright.
So in recent days, after Trump's administration started, the I think the current head of the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, I believe, is a guy called something Paya, Ajit Paya. I'm not sure. Actually, wait. Um. Yeah. Anyway,
Doesn't matter
like.
what his name is. Like,
Yeah.
literally,
Well, I
what the
don't. I don't. What I'm getting at is like there were Obama during his time put up some rules, some basically some laws or bills. I don't know what they're called, but he passed some of them so that net neutrality could be protected better.
really?
And yeah, consumer protection regulations created during the Obama presidency. Yes. So uh, Pai, yeah, Ajit Pai, he's basically aggressively trying to roll back those regulations at this point, and FCC being the Communications Commission, it basically has the power to ensure or
Yeah, it
deny
was good.
net neutrality.
Stop making it so
Yeah,
complicated. FCC is just they're in charge of regulating that shit,
yeah,
and now they're making a proposal which would weaken net neutrality
yeah.
Yep.
under the Trump administration, or enable two class
It's
internet.
just like it's just like climate change. I mean,
Yeah, it's.
yeah,
I mean, it's just like privatization of education. It's just like all the other shit. Yeah.
Fuck DeVos.
Fuck DeVos. Yeah. Like, why didn't we just make? I don't know. I'll probably make some fuck Trump sodacast. Wouldn't that be fun?
Sounds exhausting, honestly. I mean, you'd have more than enough to talk about.
Yeah, more than enough to talk about. Right? You just like type Trump into Google, goes through the first 200 pages, and find a different scandal on each one. Oh my god. Oh yeah. I really think that, by the way, is actually like net neutrality is a huge issue. Like, it's for me more important really than climate change. Holy fuck! Like, that's the kind of things where we are now, or at the time where we're setting like crossroads for the rest of the future of humanity, however long or short that might be. And like, internet is not going away in any way whatsoever, and like, humanity could be such a great thing. I think with like free internet and electricity for everybody, right? Like, if we're thinking 100 years in the future and so on. But if you start having like a two-class internet, and then you have everything paying and shit like that, and then you have massive data collection and mass surveillance, and how all of a sudden you go into horror scenario.
like the entirety of the entirety of the internet is based on the foundation of freedom. I mean,
Well, except for the mass surveillance part.
Yeah, but
Except for the part where everything we do, say,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
on, so
yeah.
on is recorded by like 50 different governments. I don't
yeah.
know, 10.
Also, fun little anecdote about the current, like the FCC chair. The outgoing FCC chair, the last guy, he said that the current FCC chair in the past 2 years canceled every single meeting he had with him.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
to make friends,
can't
not to make
blame him.
Yeah, but
Okay. Well then, refugee, Kappa?
yeah, we'll move on to
Let's
another
talk
topic.
about refugees.
Yeah.
There's a
In
lot to
Europe.
talk about in here. I think I'll start with a point I made to Nico, or Nicholas made to me, I don't even remember. But, like, all these issues we're having in Europe with, I guess, radicalization and so on of people. And the issues in general due to the refugee crisis, for example, the massive costs in Germany, the overcrowding at the beginning and even till today. Overcrowding beginning in Germany and even till today in Italy, Spain, and Greece of the welcoming camps and so on, really are just due to the fact that European countries did not first agree to and then like uphold the agreement, I guess, of spreading out the refugees according, like, proportionally to more or less the population of the countries, right? Like, there is literally even like a regulation or bill from the EU which says like which country has to take how many refugees, and like Sweden is more or less in that, or is in that, I think, or probably even good. Germany is like way above, and everyone else is like completely nowhere near, right? Maybe Italy, Spain, Greece, right? I don't want to. Probably they are also good because they were forced to take a lot of refugees, like literally, yeah. And I mean, it creates many issues. Also, it creates issues with the south, like it creates resentment in Italy, Spain, and Greece for other refugees arriving, where they are having massive like costs of feeding people, sheltering people, policing people, sending people.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of shit which comes together, right? Like for Greece, it's like what 10 million inhabitants, right? You get 1 million refugees a year. It's actually not that cheap. We're not helping them much with those costs. We're not taking the people away through the costs. We're like staying and growing, right? It's not just like they arrive and you need to give them food for a night and then I kind of ship them off. I'll exaggerate and keep your 1% or 2%. Creates resentment in the population towards us. It worsens the financial crisis because the countries down there are those which are already having issues and they're not really helped by being flooded with that. And obviously it increases, well, like, since you don't have an equal spread, right? Like, you have more cities in Germany, you don't have...
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's been proven that people who are friends... No. Who live in the US, this was, yeah. But people who live in Muslim... Like, in areas with high Muslim
Yeah.
percentages are less likely to be Islamophobes than the contrary. Right?
Oh, that's.
So it's not like
That's
if you have Muslims
surprise.
near you,
That's
you are
good.
more likely. It's literally the contrary, right? Like, and it's completely
Yeah.
clear.
I mean,
Same
I
in
think
Europe, right? And so if you kind of extend that thought, if the refugees are not being spread around, that means more people who are far away from refugees to
I mean,
not get to like them.
you can also easily see that like the more radical countries, like the ones where it's not really an alt-right in Europe as it is in America, but like this populistic right-leaning kind of.
What? It's extremistic. I mean,
Politics.
like, except for in Germany,
Well,
where
yeah,
it's a weird thing. In every other country, it's, or at least in anything I'm aware. I mean, France is just purely
all right,
extreme, right?
it's extreme right, but that's semantics. Point is,
Yeah.
the xenophobes are more concentrated, I think, in like more northern, more eastern states that don't get quite as much influx.
True, but then like,
Refugee.
but then for example, France has a very very strong right wing, and although they're not taking in any refugees like recently, they have over like now that I think of it, over time like France has a very high I would say immigrant population, mainly due to the colonial times, right?
That's true. But then France is also has the special case of having terrible integration. Like
True. Yeah.
you have the banlieue, which is basically like suburbs solely for immigrants. It's basically segregated. Not officially, of course, but you get
France
the
is
social
pretty
barrier.
damn segregated, yeah. That would be something to talk
But
about. Like, let's not go into that right now. Yeah.
the point I was trying to make is like Poland, for instance, is a strong right wing, very very strong right tendencies.
Hungary and so on and so on. I agree, but I think like on one hand I definitely agree, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think that also has like historical stuff to do, because like I don't know, all the eastern areas kind of have a strong right wing, weirdly, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
yeah,
I think
but
just in general, like all the ex-East Bloc countries have a more extreme right, extreme left, which are pretty strong, or
I think it
because
might
like
also have
right.
to do with the fact that because they were in this block and this close-off block, that they had less interaction with like
Yeah, definitely, very interesting.
cultures of the area that now flood in,
Yeah.
which is also why Eastern Germany
Yeah.
is more
Yeah.
in tendency than Germany.
Oh, that's
So I think you
super
have,
fucking interesting, yeah, in some way.
yeah.
Like I think that's where you actually get like the kind of hateful xenophobia more than the kind of economical xenophobia. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I mean? Like you have the
No.
like I
Yeah,
hate people
yeah.
who are not my skin color. I'm exaggerating, right? But like I don't
Mm.
know, they're all rapist criminals and that kind of stuff. You have that I'm against immigrants, and you have the it's just gonna cost us too much money, take our jobs kind of against immigrants, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like East Germany and like the East is maybe has more exactly of the kind of like hateful like they're all right rapists and criminals and gonna and I don't know gonna kill us all or gonna try and overrun us with a Sharia law or whatever. Especially more of that I would say. If I kind of
Sounds
think about
plausible.
especially think like Germany because I wouldn't say even that the West doesn't have like, but also like no.
Well,
It sounds plausible.
like
Anyway.
the really bad places in Germany are mostly concentrated around like the north, the east.
And that's also where I hear the most about like actual, or where I would think at least about actual like violence happening, right? Well, I think if we actually look at the polls, like the right-wing party is pretty strong kind of everywhere, which would indicate that they're still against immigrants, but then it's maybe more of an economical thing or something. Right? It's more
Well,
of
they're definitely
it's less like out like since the people in the
outspoken.
West seems to be less outspoken about it.
Yeah.
They seem to be less emotional about it, and it seems to be more kind of a right, like logical
Mm.
decision. So that's why. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I really think that's a huge issue, and it's like pure stupidity, really. Like I just want to go to each of those like presidents and like hold on, yeah, like he's a fucking socialist. The guy says he's a socialist, and I don't know. Boom. I don't know. Or
I
slap.
don't.
No, not kill them, but like slap them. That would be cool.
I know very little about the refugee crisis in general, so
Then
yeah.
learn and ask. What about Fortress Europe, Nico? What do you want to say about
Fortress. Oh boy.
that?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Oh.
There is
Okay,
a
so
Oh.
there is a certain hypocrisy with Donald Trump and his building a wall to Mexico. The situation is a bit different than in Europe. Don't get me wrong. Definitely is. But that we as Europeans say no, we don't. That we as Europeans say, well, fuck Trump for trying to build a wall to stop immigrants from coming in, has a certain hypocrisy because the European Union has always had very, very strong borders. Like, has
Literally
made
with
great
fences and
efforts,
walls. Yeah.
to not let people in that don't already exist inside of it. Like, one of the main tenets of the European Union is that you are allowed to travel from country to country freely, choose the place where you live, where you work, without any issue. You can do that as long as you're inside the EU.
It's
If you're from
joking.
outside, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting to consider. There are, of course, differences in the situations, in part because Mexico and the US actually have mutual dependencies,
True.
and Trump's politics mess with that as well. But
And
like the general ideas.
because at least recently Europe has way higher like refugee influx numbers. I mean, it's completely normal. We're close to Africa, we're close to Middle East, we're close to Asia in some way at least. US is like close to Latin
Mexico.
America, right? Right, I mean, like that's kind of it. But I mean, I think there is. I mean, if you look at the people coming in, US accepts like what 10 or 20,000 refugees a year officially, right? Like, okay, there's a shitload of, I guess, not deported illegal Mexicans in the U.S. At least some amount. I don't even know what the actual numbers are. But the U.S. takes like nearly no refugees illegally. I mean, 10, 20,000 might seem like a lot. They have 312 million inhabitants. Germany has 81 million. We took in 1 million last year. Okay, on average, we may be taking more like 100,000 than 1 million. But still, it's more like, completely different scales. And I think there's also some logic in that you have to kind of take into account. But I definitely agree there's a lot of hypocrisy because, I mean, like we literally have a fleet patrolling the middle Mediterranean, sending people back, or getting them on board, depending. We have a wall in Gibraltar, like southern Spain, where Spain is. I don't know if you know, but on the southern, like on the north of Africa, there's actually a tiny bit of Spain, which is literally like a fort with like wall with barbed wire and everything, and people die quite regularly, like in the hundreds trying to storm it, like. Not every day, right? Like every couple of months or years, you hear like again a couple hundred people try to storm it and shitload got crushed, and I'm pretty sure people die more often than that. Some people really also get to. And then like all in the Balkans and so on, nowadays at least, I think it used to be more kind of a patrol, sometimes fancy kind of thing. But since the start of the refugee crisis, like very quickly, there's been a lot of walls and stuff being built and fortificate, like strengthening of the walls. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just kind of
So
sorry if I'm kind of lengthening it up, but you gotta do
so
what you do.
so these borders are what Fortress Europe basically is. What is that?
Fortress Europe is basically the name given ironically, sarcastically from people like us to Europe to say or to prove the point that it's basically impossible to get into. Or pretty hard, or
Europe
pretty
is
fortified. No, it's not impossible to
Oh,
get into,
okay.
right? We did take in a couple million people and so on. But it is very fortified, it's very dangerous. You have to, cross the Mediterranean and so on. It's not like it's any easy to get
It's-
into Europe
yeah,
where it's hard to get into the
basically
US.
it's about this hypocrisy in a way that you have, that Europe prides itself on its ideals of democracy and human rights and all of that.
Exactly.
But it's basically only if you have been born in Europe or were already there or something. Like if you come from somewhere poor, fuck you. You're not getting
I
in.
mean, we still have Mojito here, right?
I do.
I mean, like, it's still easier to
Of
get into.
course.
Well, like, it's not quite true, Niklas, because it's still easier to get into Europe than into the US. Like, there is hypocrisy, but it's not like the degree I
No,
think you're
yeah.
making it out to
No,
be.
it's
I
not
don't know
terrible.
about.
But
Okay, I don't know
there's
about.
definitely hypocrisy. Yeah.
I don't know about now, but like back when I was, applying for applying to colleges and basically applying for my visa.
Hmm?
Germany, the process of for getting the visa for America, for the student visa for America, seems much simpler than Germany
Okay.
because Germany, what I had to do was I
Like,
fill out a very big application, like a lot of documents, and then well, that's to be expected. But uh, Germany actually took time to reply. Like it felt like there was some actual, there was some actual procedure to it. But U.S., what usually happens, according to my friends who are now in the U.S., they say that they just went in, and it's up to one person, one immigration officer, whether or not you receive the visa, and you know the day itself whether or not you receive the visa for the U.S. But for
I mean,
Germany,
that
it
seems
took
quite
like
retarded, but that doesn't
2
really
months.
say anything
Yeah,
about the probability of getting accepted or rejected.
yeah, that's true. I mean,
I
Right. I mean, like, maybe it's just because German bureaucracy is
one
slow, but actually
immigration
everyone gets
officer
through.
though. Yeah.
I think that
I mean,
does
okay.
touch on another issue you often have with immigration, just in general.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's exclusive to Germany or the entirety of Europe or whatever, but something that is usually criticized, which I strongly agree with, is that much of the issues of a refugee crisis lie not in people coming in, but in how complicated it is to get the people registered, and the amounts of paperwork you as an immigrant would have to fill out and
True, like, actually, okay.
kind of fight your way through.
One of the main
Which is
issues for refugees, I think, is what you're trying to say, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah. But one of the like stupid things
Well,
which is coming up in Germany, especially, is like, yeah, the stupid amount of German paperwork you have to do as a refugee who doesn't speak German.
yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of like when we're talking that, right, like mountains upon
Yeah.
mountains. That is very much an issue. I think that's just a case of like, no one thinking that far. Back like 50 years ago when those things were made and everyone who was coming was like half German anyway or whatever, and then like you kept increasing those documents, and at some point you realized maybe we should translate it to English. But like you can't really translate it to English because then yeah, because
Yeah.
not
Well,
everyone in Germany does
English,
it, right?
even English might not be helpful,
Better.
really.
Yeah, it's better.
When it's better, of course, but like
Yeah.
if you're just a refugee from
True.
Syria that lived in some village, but then the
Yeah,
IS
true.
came and
If you live in some village, you probably didn't. Yeah. Like
you're fucked.
it helps like the refugee from Syria whose dad was a doctor. It doesn't help the refugee from Somalia.
Of course. And so
I
basically, that's a big issue, and it of course furthers the issue that people who are worried about immigration all basically criticize. Like, because there's so much paperwork, you're going to have a lot of people without visa, without proper asylum,
with proper
without
paperwork, like,
proper
yeah.
without proper asylum. Oh my god,
Proper
I'm tired.
asylum. Yeah.
Or not properly
um,
applying for asylum, or people like missing deadlines stupidly, which creates then
and
more issues for them, or like people getting sent back because of deadlines that they missed because they didn't manage to fill out stuff in time, sent it to the wrong postal address. Like, I mean, like, it's the stupid things, right? But like the first time you send a letter, you don't know what to write where, especially in a fucking foreign country, right?
yeah.
And
It's a bureaucratic hell.
especially in Germany, it's a real bureaucratic area. Talking about hypocrisy, though, like you mentioned the hypocrisy, I guess, of like Europe, right, in some way, compared to the US and the Trump wall. But I'd also like to mention the hypocrisy of the US and Canada, because I mean, US also prides itself as a country of freedom and so on, so on, so on. And
Oh yeah,
literally, I
well,
was
yeah.
very shocked to see that US takes in so little refugees. I thought they would take in like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 a year or something at least, right? Like, just considering it, like what I knew of the country and so on, and how rich they are. Be it just smart people, right? Like special cases or something. It's still like, and yeah, and Canada, where Justin Trudeau even like was very aggressive at the beginning of the refugee crisis,
Mm-hmm.
saying we're going to help them all and so on and so on. And Canada's taking, and with all the photo ops and so on, like it was a huge thing. Trudeau and Canada and helping refugees, and they taking like
Yeah.
a couple hundred, or couple thousand, yeah, not 100,000. Like again, a ridiculously low number. And
Well,
yeah,
for the refugee crisis in Syria and the close east, of course, there's also the issue of just distance.
yeah, but that's
But I
solvable though.
definitely agree.
Those are right. Like they did manage to get a couple hundred, a couple thousand to Canada. Like there were thousands or hundreds of thousands of people waiting in Turkey to somehow get out, or in Yemen. No, not Yemen.
Yeah.
Jordan.
No, I definitely agree. It's kind of ridiculous, especially if you're making a big campaign out of it. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially in Trudeau's case, right? Like US, I kind of well, like US under Obama again, I think should have done more. US under Trump makes sense; they don't do shit, right? But like US under Obama, you know, it's not like I'm saying they should have taken everyone, like a significant, like relevant number, you know,
Mm.
or at least like a special, like you know, on top of the I don't know 10, 20,000 we usually take in per year from all around the world, right? Like we'll take in 10,000 Syrians on top of that or something like. But I don't know.
It seems like it
But
would
yeah,
make sense considering
yeah.
the US's role, but that's another can of worms. All right. Do you guys think this is a good point to wrap up this podcast?
Kind of fishy, so why not?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share if you do. Like,
Okay. Bye.
and bye.
Goodbye.